Hello everyone, welcome to our tutorial on data science using Python. In the current session, we are going to discuss on the introduction to Python language, then the different data types available in Python. Then we are going to discuss about the very important and very frequently used data structure, that is list. Then we will go into the control flow structures available in Python. After that we will discuss on the function, how function works in Python. Then we'll see the implementation of stack and queue using Python. Okay, so we'll start with the introduction to Python. Okay, so this data science is very much dependent on this language Python, because it is a very simple language and it's a very high level programming language. Okay, so as we'll move on with data science, then you will see that how Python is very useful for implementation of different algorithms and functionalities. But before that, it is important that we should be familiar with the language. So that's why we are going to have few sessions on the basics of Python. Okay, so as I told you that it's a very simple language to use, so we hope that you can learn this language means with very much ease if you have already some knowledge of working in C or C++ languages. Okay, so it's a interpreted language, so that is the difference with the compiled language. So here it's like you will write the code and you can just interpret line by line code, so it's not required that the entire program compilation and linking, those things are not required. So we can use this interpreter as interactive mode. I will show you that as we'll use Jupyter Notebook, which is coming as part of Anaconda installation. So if you install Anaconda, under that you will get Jupyter Notebook. Jupyter Notebook is a interactive mode where you can write line by line code you can write, and you just execute those codes, so that it's very easy to view that how my code is working and what is the problem it can have. So everything I can do just step by step. Okay, it has high level data types, so I will show you that how the data types are very useful for our implementation. Okay, so it has high level data types, and these high level data types allow to express complex operations in a single statement. Okay, so it will be very easy to implement as we go forward with different data types and different data structures in Python. You will show that I will show that it is very easy to implement. Statement grouping is done by indentation. Okay, that's a very important difference with the languages like C, C++, Java, etc. Generally when we do the grouping, we do it with the curly braces, but here you will do the grouping by indentation. So indentation is very important here, and it is like, of course, less typing you can say, because I can always ignore those brackets. Okay, and no variable or argument declarations are necessary. So unlike C or C++, you don't need to write for any variable. You don't need to first declare that with the data type. You can just use it. We'll show with examples, so that will be more clear. Then programs can be divided in multiple modules, so you can have modules or functions. So you can write small modules of code, and then you can join them together. You can call one module from another, so that that will make it is easy for you to write the code. Okay, and then it comes with a large collection of standard modules, so it has a lot of modules which are already written, so that's very strong point for Python. That's why actually it is very useful in data science, because you will find in the later sessions that there are many algorithms which are already written. There are many modules which are already there, which we can just call and implement, so we don't need to bother about writing everything. So a lot of things are already written in the modules which are part of Python. Okay, Okay, fine. So these are the data types. So briefly we will discuss on the data types, then we will go to Jupyter Notebook and we will write some code that will be more helpful for understanding. So number data types, the first one I am going to discuss is number. So it can be integer and float. Okay, and these are the operations that are allowed on numbers, that is you can do addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. Okay, and this division operation will always return a float value. Okay, so whatever may be the two values that you are dividing, the output result will always be a floating point number. And for that we have this float division. I will show you the use. So I can do some float division and remainder operation, that is the module operator that is there, and I have this power operator as well. So if I want to do the square of a variable, then I can just write that variable and then double star and then the power. Okay, so that's how I can do few operations on this number data type. Then comes the string data type. So it can be indexed. Okay, so how index works, it is like the array data structure that you may have used in C or C++ languages. So that indexing can be done. I will show you how to do that. And then slicing also can be done. It's a new concept. I will show how to do slicing and what does that mean. Okay, then they are immutable. Immutable means that when you have declared a string, so string you can say that it's a kind of array of characters. In other programming languages we define string as the array of characters. So here also it is same, but it is immutable. That is, once you have declared an string, then you cannot change any value in a particular position of that string. That's not possible. Okay, and multiple strings can be concatenated with the plus operator and repeated with star. What does that mean? So I will go to Jupyter Notebook directly and I will show you some examples so that it will be clear. Fine. Okay, so let us start. So this is the Jupyter Notebook. I have opened Jupyter Notebook and this is a new Python 3 file I have opened. Okay, and I will write here, this is the run button. I will show you as you move on, you will be more familiar with Jupyter Notebook, but first you have to install, and you can install it in both Windows and Linux operating systems. Okay, so in Jupyter Notebook I will start with this. You can see here that I have written a equal to 10. So it's just like this variable a will contain the value 10. I don't need to declare it, right? Declare int a, something like that, not required. I have just directly I have assigned the value 10 to the variable a. Okay, similarly I have assigned 20 to the variable b. Then I have written c1 equal to a plus b. So all these things, this a, b, c1, I am not declaring, I am directly using them. Okay, and then this output, that is how to show something as output, that for that I can use this print statement, and in bracket I have written the name of the variable. Okay, so this is a block of code. So here you can see that I can write one statement or multiple statements in a block, and I can just run that cell. Okay, it's called the cell. So I can just write the cell. You can see that 30 was printed. So c1 equal to a plus b, that is 10 plus 20, which is 30. Then I am doing another cell. I can add many cells from here. From this button you can see insert cell below. So this, in the next cell, what I am doing, I have written c2 equal to b by a. So I am just dividing. You know that I can do all these operations on the number, that is addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. So if you execute this, you can see that the output is 2.0. So as I told you that the division operation will always give you some output which is a floating point number, though it is 20 divided by 10, which is actually 2, but still it is coming as 2.0. Okay, and in the next cell, what I am doing, instead of this division, I am doing this float division. These two slashes is called the float division. So if you execute, now you can see that the output is coming as 2. So here you will always get some integer output. Okay, so instead of having b as 20, let us make it as 25. Okay, so that the division will not be, it is not fully divisible. So let us execute this cell again. So now it is changing to 35, this is changing to 2.5, and here you can get that, you can see that here you are getting only 2, so it's kind of 2.5. so it will give you the floor value, means it will give you the lowest integer value possible from the division output. That's why this operator is called the floor division. Okay, then this C4 equal to b mod a, so it is modulation operation, so it is actually will give you the remainder. So if you execute this, you can see that as you are dividing 25 by 10, so here the remainder is 5, so you are getting 5. So you can see here that just I have written C4, so as I have written C4, so whatever is the value of C4, it is just flushed here in the output. Okay, so whether I write print C4 or C4, it will be same, but the difference is that if I write C4 and then if I write C3, if it's something like that, then you will see that you are getting 2. So as there are two variables I have written, so you will get only the last one. Okay, so maybe C4 value was there, which was 5, but then C3 came, so it was erased, it was overwritten. Okay, but if I write print statement, then you will get both of them. So now if you execute, you can see that both 5 and 2 are getting printed. So that's the difference, that if you know that there is some operation and you just want to see the output, then you can simply use this variable instead of print statement. But if there are multiple variables you want to see, then it is good that you use the print statement. Okay, in the next cell what I am doing, C3, then star 3, so it is the power operator. So now C3 is what, C3 is 2, so now 2 cube, it will it should work as 2 cube, so 8 is coming. Okay, if I change it to 2, then it will be 4. Fine, so this is how this number data type is working. Now here I am creating one string variable. Okay, because it's a character string, collection of characters. So word equal to Python, then I have written word1 equal to Python star 3. So let us see that how word1 looks like. So you can see that word1 is something Python, so it is how many times this Python word will be there in the string variable. Okay, that's why it is multiplied by 3. If I do it 4, then there will be 4 Python words. So if you want to multiply the number of occurrences of a string value in a string variable, then you can use this multiplication operator. Okay, then I told you that this plus operator is used for concatenation. So here you can see that word2 equal to word plus data science. So word contains Python, and I just want to add this word with this. Okay, so if you execute, you can see that Python and data science are now together, so they have been concatenated. So that way I can concatenate two strings. Okay, then I told you about indexing in the string variable. So it is like array, and here the index starts with 0 position, so this will start with 0, 1, 2, 3, so on. Okay, and there is another concept that the last character is -1. So as here it will move on like 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, 4, so on. From here it will be like -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, like that. So from the opposite direction you can use the negative numbers. So here you can see I'm just printing word 0, means I want to have the character in position 0. Okay, and next I want to print word -1. So -1 means it will print the last letter, so it should print P and E. So let us execute. Sorry, they are not this word, it is I am using word, so word is Python. So here I am getting the first letter, that is P, and last letter, that is N. Fine. Okay, so this is how indexing is done. You can just access any individual character at a particular position with this indexing. And next comes the concept of slicing. So slicing means it is like you want to have the characters in a set of positions, means maybe you want that first 3 characters or the characters from position 1 to 3, like that. So for that I write it like that. Okay, kind of a range. So it is showing that word, and then in bracket, square bracket, I have written 0:3. It means that is there is a colon, so the left hand part of the colon, so the output will start from this position, and the value in the right part of the colon, the values it will take just before this position. So as I have written 0:3, that means it should retrieve the values in the position 0, 1 and 2, not 3. 3 will be exclusive. So let us execute. So you can see PYT 0, 1, 2, that I got. So if I just change it to 4, then it is PYTY 0, 1, 2, 3. So this left part is inclusive and this right part will be exclusive. Now you can see here it's another example where in the right part of the colon I have not mentioned anything, it's blank. If that is the case, then it will start from the left part, whatever may be the index I have mentioned, to the end of the string. Okay, so it is like Python, because only the P was at position 0, that's why that is removed. Okay, and in this example this left part is now blank and right part I have mentioned something. That means the print, it will print from the starting position of this string variable and then until it reaches 3. Okay, as 4 is mentioned, so it should be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 characters should be printed. So you can see PYTY 0, 1, 2, 3 positions. Now here I am trying to change the value of the 0th position, okay, with the value j. So if you execute, you can see that the str object does not support item assignment. So I told you that it is immutable, so you cannot change it. Okay, you cannot change anything in the string variable. Then this function len, this len function will give you the length of the string. So you can see the total length is 6 because the value is Python. Okay, then I can find something in the string variable, that is also possible with the find function. And here I have written th, so I want to find the substring th in the entire word, that is Python, and this is the start and end position, these are optional. So I can mention that okay, that search should be done within this. Okay, this is the start position, this is the end position, it should search in these positions only. So if you execute, you can see that it was started. This 2 is the starting index position of this word part. Okay, so PYT, so it was the second position. Fine. Okay, so that is the find function. You can use it with different arguments and try that how it is working, and the output is the starting position of the word part. Okay, then there is the format function that we can use in the print statement. You can see is very useful, it will be used frequently. You can see here that suppose I want to print something like that this statement I want to print, but in between I want some variables. Okay, so if that is the case, suppose I want to print the word and its length, but not together. I want that here the word should be printed and here the length should be printed. So for that, what I have done, I have written a string. Within the print statement, okay, and here I have kept 0 and 1 values within curly braces, and then once the string part is done, then I have written some dot and then format function I have called, and within the format function I have sent two arguments. One is word, one is length of word. So when the print will actually be executed, then this 0 will be replaced with word, this 1 will be replaced by length of word. So let us execute this statement. Okay, now you can see that how the print statement executed. The value is Python, that means is the value of this word, and then the length is 6, which is the length of word. So this is how the different data types, that is number and string data types, are being used. Okay, we have shown with some examples, and in the next session we are going to discuss on the data structure list. Okay, so thank you for now.